Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch has been met with universal praise from critics and fans alike, but there's one glaring difference between this movie and its animated counterpart in 2002 that seems to be upsetting fans of the OG movie, and that is the ending. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the ending of this new Lilo and Stitch and explain why this difference actually makes sense. With that being said, let's get straight to it. The live-action Lilo and Stitch was a truly great cinematic experience to see in theatres. If you haven't seen it yet, I really do recommend that you go and watch it. It is a great film. One of the major things to take away from the movie was the way the film set up loss of parents, especially for the two sisters. Throughout the movie, we see many examples of just how much the loss has impacted them both, so much so that Nanny is seen literally drowning in the responsibilities that have been left behind. Now, just a disclaimer, major spoilers going forward here, so tread with caution. If you haven't seen the movie, now may be the best time to check out. When the movie draws towards the third act, Nanny is left with the task of deciding what's best for Lilo. The near drowning incident at the beach, which rightfully involves Lilo having to be checked over at the hospital, forces Nanny to reevaluate her circumstances as she's faced with a hefty hospital bill. The movie deals with the importance of Ohana, but does so in a different way to the cartoon. The animated movie, for the most part, closed the film off with Nanny and Lilo seemingly solving a lot of their conflict after finding Stitch, as Nanny finds a job and works alongside David to raise Lilo alone. However, the live action gives us a different interpretation. The state wants to intervene with Lilo's upbringing, and this causes Nanny to agree to letting Lilo be raised by somebody else. That somebody else ends up being their neighbours, David, the same David, and his grandma, a new character that's been introduced to the story. Personally, the addition of the grandma made sense, as Nanny was quite irresponsible in the cartoon, leaving Lilo alone at every opportunity. So the grandma served a huge purpose here, because when Nanny was working, she would watch Lilo, she would take Lilo places, and Lilo had somebody watching her, which just wasn't there in the cartoon. The moral of the story on the climax is that both Lilo and Nanny lost something when their parents died. Nanny, who had her whole life ahead of her, suddenly was left caring for a child and paying the bills to the home they both lived in a way giving her an ending where Nanny is able to get some kind of her life back, whilst also knowing that Lilo was cared for by two people who had become like family, and also still being able to see Lilo whenever she wanted. I thought was a fitting ending for both characters. Loss affects many people, and what the live action did was humanise what both sisters had lost, which for Nanny was basically her own life, to do things she wanted to do, like go to college, get herself a career, or attempt to do things that didn't involve her being a parent yet. The ending of this movie did the job of showing just how much Stitch was company for Lilo, but also his arrival benefited Nanny as well, and even though the cartoon had that, I feel like Nanny felt more at peace knowing she could leave Lilo with the grandma, who had become like a grandma to them two, and also that she had Stitch who would keep her company. Jumba served as the antagonist of this story, and he was last seen being pulled out of the ocean as he was arrested by the Grand Councilwoman and taken into custody, meaning his desire to turn Stitch into a feelingless creature failed. But what does the future have in store for him? With news that a sequel to the live-action movie is allegedly in the works, it's safe to say this story isn't over. So what does the future have in store for the characters? Jumbo will likely return and hunt Stitch down once again, and maybe we'll see Gantu arrive in the story in a different fashion to what he has done in the animated movie. Time will tell. But it's safe to say that Lilo and Stitch was a great movie, and I thought the ending didn't insult the original in the way that's being accused online. I felt like it did give a huge nod to Ohana, but also showed that people can lose things and they shouldn't have to, because people dying in your life is incredibly hard, but both sisters managed to find something at the end of it. Both of them had each other, but then Nanny was able to keep her life and do the things she wanted to do, and Lilo was able to get the comfort of a family through the grandma, David, her sister, and in Stitch as well. If anything, their family only grew. And I thought that was a good ending for Lilo and Stitch. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Disney content, news, leaks and rumours and so on. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you back here to delve into more of the Walt Disney Diaries.